Oh, this is a whole new angle. We're like whole new people.
Hello!
We are Annie and Konstantin.
And you're watching another episode of...
Updates. So today we're a little bit at a loss for words. Largely because somehow traditionally the first week of the year is kind of a strange mess of days that just passes very quickly. As you're, coming out of the gigantic wave of the holidays, trying to catch up and get back to normal life. So that's kind of what we're doing right now. We're reconfiguring and trying to, see where we're headed in the next few weeks and months. And as part of that, we are actually working on an application.
The application we're talking about is for the Republica, which is an internet stuff situation convention thing in Berlin, which is aimed at basically anybody who is kind of positively looking at the interwebs, maybe? I'm not sure.
I don't know, because I've been thinking about last year's program where it was all fear-mongering about everyone stealing your data and gonna eat your kids.
Well, there is a little bit of fear-mongering going on, but where isn't a little bit of fear-mongering going on?
This is Germany, after all. We don't start dinner without a little bit of fear-mongering.
Nonetheless, it was a very nice and very interesting experience, and on that Republica 2015, we decided that we want to hold a talk on the Republica 2016.
Basically, the Republica is held in May. And as of course you remember, because you've been a loyal watcher ever since the beginning of this, we started publishing YouTube videos in June last year. So in May we were already in the preparations for that. We actually shot some of our first episodes while in Berlin or while going to Berlin for the Republica last year. We were there kind of in that beginning wake of, we want to do this, we don't really know what we're doing yet, but we're going to do it, it's going to be fun, and next year we're going to talk about it. And now it's a half year later when we need to submit our papers and tell them what we want to talk about. So right now we're in the process of nailing down what it is that we learned over the past year.
Not only what we learned, but also what we want to talk about. What are the people that are going to be there? What are the people who are creating this whole media? What do they want to hear? How do we best fit into the profile? And this is a very fun process because it is a time where we also spend to analyze our progress and to analyze what our part in this whole media world is currently and maybe in the future.
We feel that we have a lot to say because we've been working hard over the last year and we have learned a whole lot and we have tried out several different things and we're going to try out some more things and we have another half year to refine our talk and figure out the exact words we're going to say. But the thing is that in this great internet media world, what you hear about are the outliers or the people who went viral in their second video because they talked about this really cool thing or showed a cat or something, and that's not us. We're not viral, we're not gigantic yet, we haven't had this oh my god breakthrough success. But we're doing pretty solidly good work that we stand behind, and we're going to keep doing so. I mean, we've been at this project for a half year and we haven't given up yet, which in the media world is pretty remarkable. So we consider ourselves pretty successful, so this is kind of a fun way to look at what have we actually achieved, what did we mean to achieve, how do these overlap? And they overlap quite a bit, turns out. And where are we headed in the future? What is the next half year likely going to bring? What do we want it to bring? And where are we headed after that? Basically, we're right now in the process of learning the things that we want to tell people about at the talk. And I think that's pretty cool.
So, what was the thing that was on your mind the last days?
I'm about to go majorly philosophical. One of the things that I keep stumbling upon and that keeps just fascinating the crap out of me is the idea of truth. I once took a class entirely on truth theories, which is a branch of philosophy that is incredibly fascinating because basically, as the professor put it in the first day of class, studying truth theories means that you're putting on your boots to go to the store to buy the boots that you put on in the first place. Because in order to discover truth, you first need to know what truth is, which means you need to define truth before you can define truth. Philosophy is fun. So I took a class on this. So for an entire semester, I went to class twice a week and we sat down and we read all these texts of, highly pretentious people talking about truth. And you go through this entire semester and I will give you now the one nugget of actual truth that I carried out of this class. So you can, skip that entire process. Everything is true until it's proven wrong. And there you have your definition of truth, and now you know everything you need to know about truth theories. I took one semester on this, so I'm by no way an expert, so all of you philosophers out there, forgive me, I know nothing. Point is, truth is inherently relative. The things that are true to you don't necessarily need to be true to someone else. You know, when you're dealing with science, you have a basis of truth. You have a process, putting up hypotheses and seeing if they work. And if they work, then they are correct until they are proven wrong. This is how science works. This is how science has always worked. The moment you leave science and enter the realm of people, everything goes to shit. Because people don't behave the same way all of the time. And there are so many factors that play into, humans, that they don't behave like a chemical or like a plant, for that matter. So that means that when you're dealing with psychology, when you're dealing with sociology, truth is very, very hard to come by. And you try to approximate it. You try to find something that is close to the truth, or you find a trend, or you find a likelihood. People are more likely to behave this way if that. That doesn't mean that they all do. In fact, it means that, a few of them do, but it's more than the rest, so we're going with it. Which is, again, fun enough when you're dealing with it in a scientific aspect. If you're taking that to your, actual life, and you're looking at your life going, what is true and what can I rely on? You're screwed. Truth is only what is commonly accepted by people, and what people commonly accept are the things that they have thought about, that they have words in their mind for. It's not things that people actually feel deep down. It's not underlying whatever. It's things that people choose to actually accept about themselves. I say that because I am a very sensitive person. I am one of those highly pretentious people who like to call themselves empaths, because I kind of feel like I read other people. I walk into a room and I kind of know what the emotions are, and I know you're having a bad day, and I know you had a really good news thing happen to you today. And when you read a lot of emotions, and when you read kind of the energy in a room, you get a very different version of the truth than the truth that people would tell you about, because people say different things than they feel. And people think different things than they feel. And people don't actually know what they feel half the time. While that is inherently frustrating because you can't predict anything, it's also kind of nice. Which then makes it very terrifying, because you have control over your own truth, which is something that, as US politics is flooding the entire world again, we are reminded of every day. Truth are the things that you tell yourself to be true for you, which are not the same as the things that other people are telling themselves, which then means that in the, grand conglomerate of all of our shared truths, there's very little overlap sometimes. And that kind of blows, but that's also a little bit of the fun of humanity, because that means we can argue about things, because if we all had one shared truth, we wouldn't have anything to talk about. Having different truths means that you can compare different points of view and different things that people see and different things that people believe. And you can find the things that you agree on, and you can find the things that you don't agree on, and then that should inspire you to look at those things from different perspectives still. I think. So I set you up for greatness just there.
Yeah.
Because no one's going to believe anything you say now, because they're going to be like, this is all relative truth.
Thank you.
You're so welcome.
I've been playing a lot of improv the last year or so. So I've been reading up on Keith Johnston, who is like the improv guru, who basically invented the form of improvised theater back in the 60s. It is a very interesting form of self-expression, because it is so immediate. As you know, the stories or the scenes that are being told in an improv evening, they are impromptu. You get feedback from the audience, and then you basically play and hope that something interesting will turn out. And the way that people are is we try to control things. We try to be safe. Playing improv is the opposite of being safe, because you don't know what is going to happen, and you're standing in front of an audience of people who are watching you, and you're basically set up for failure, which is the interesting part and the beauty, because the audience knows that you're set up for failure, and that's why the failure isn't bad at all. But still, if you play improv, you have subconscious mechanisms how to keep yourself safe, how to try to maintain some sort of a safe space in an environment which is highly unpredictable. Being that when there are 2 or more people on the stage, you can be very conservative basically block out all the suggestions from other players until you are able to play your own idea. But if you do that, nothing will work, because if everybody does that, there will be no story, but only three egos who try to maintain as safe as possible. And for me, good improv is realizing that you're trying to play it safe and go against your instincts. And instead of relying on fear of failure, fear of I don't have a good idea and none of my co-players will have a good idea, we're going to fail and the audience is going to boo us out and we're going to be very, very embarrassed and our grandchildren won't be able to show their faces in public because this is going to be so embarrassing. So this is the fear, but instead you need to rely on hope that it will be fine, that even if you don't have the correct idea, there will be someone of your co-players who will. And even if not, that the audience will be not too harsh. Because the audience are people as well and they know that you haven't a prepared script. And once you rely on hope, you're much more flexible. You're free to look at your co-players and you're way better at finding a story, building a way. But if you're afraid, you block. And nothing will work. And this is a thing that is applicable for basically everything in life. If you are afraid of the future, if you are afraid of the things that may come, you play it safe, it shuts you down, and you don't see any options. And if in the same situation you try to rely on hope, you have way more peripheral vision to see how you can improve your situation. It sounds like a platitude, but I find that to be true for my life.
I'm just thinking, as a person with anxiety, I can sign that without any problem. Fear shuts you down. Hope is nice.
I think my epiphany was that hope is better than fear is also so very well applicable for improv. And maybe improv is very much applicable, the concept itself, to life. Because you don't know what is going to happen, and you need to, rely on other people to give you ideas, because you can't do everything on your own, and if you try to do everything just in your own plan, you're bound for failure. And even if you fail, it's not the end of the world, because the audience, which is the people in your immediate vicinity, they fuck up too. And they know that everybody plays without a net. And I think that's very, very liberating. That's what I've been thinking about. Coming up with random stuff for the little tidbit is really hard.
It usually isn't. Because usually, we're trying to tell you all the things we have to tell you and we get off track and we ramble about something, then we're like, yeah, we can show this to people. But then sometimes
we're just too good. Just too good.